Hi everyone, Steve Chrysler here from Bookkeeping Life. This is a really neat topic of introvert versus extrovert, and can you be successful in business as an introvert? And I'm here to tell you, as an introvert, believe it or not, you can be very successful at running a bookkeeping business as an introvert. So what is an introvert and what is an extrovert? I always thought I knew what these were, but until I really dug into the definition of them, I realized that I'm very normal. Most of my life I thought I was slightly abnormal, and that I would see people that were more sociable. They would do the small talk in groups, and they actually wanted to chit chat, and I never was a person that got into that kind of thing. I was kind of always the one on the outside listening in and watching from afar kind of thing. And I think that a lot of people that are introverts gravitate towards this line of business because it does require you to be head down and working, and you must be able to get some kind of gratification out of that in order to do it. But I've always considered myself to be shy, even though I do these videos. But and I've learned that I'm not shy. It's not that I'm shy, I'm just an introvert. And those are very different things. So an introvert is somebody that prefers, and the reason they prefer it is because their brain actually gives them a reward feeling for being alone. You actually get reward for being kind of by yourself or in smaller groups. And then extroverts have a reward center in their brain that gives them satisfaction for being talkative, being in more group, in a larger group, that kind of thing. They get a kick out of that, and we get a kick out. Introverts get a kick out of being alone or being in smaller groups. So what I always thought was, or what could be mislabeled as shy, is really just this how our brains operate and how we get our rewards from the chemicals in our brains. Not that I'm a doctor and I don't know that side of it so much, but from what I've read, that is how our brains work. We get some kind of reward from our brains that reward us. We get a joy out of being in solitude or alone or in smaller groups, where people that are extroverts get rewards for being in bigger groups and that kind of thing. It's really funny. One of my best friends, he's an extrovert, and I hear him do that small talk all the time, which is, hey, how's it going? All this small talk that I could never care less to do. But I see he actually enjoys it, and he's talking typically to other extroverts, and they get a joy out of just this, to me, mindless chit chat. But I get it now, and where most of my life I did not. So anyways, I have been very successful at running a bookkeeping and tax business. Been a CPA for 20 years, and I'm very much an introvert. So you can do it too. If you can relate to this and you're an introvert, you can definitely run a successful bookkeeping business as an introvert. You do not have to, I think, and I get this a lot from people, questions from people, is they don't feel comfortable doing networking groups, and they don't feel like they are really outgoing and like to socialize and that kind of stuff. And I never did either. And in fact, I can count the amount of times I did a networking group on one hand. I still recommend it as part of my programs, as one of the things that you could do or should do if you can. Is networking groups is one of the factors, but you don't have to do that to be successful, and I'm a perfect example of that. I never got into the networking groups, and like I said, I can count on one hand that the amount of times that I've done it, and I just didn't like it. I've always kind of blamed it on the early morning or the fluorescent lights, but really it came down to it just wasn't my thing. I didn't enjoy talking to a bunch of people that I didn't know. I don't enjoy small talk, and so here's some. I do want to get into some of the things that kind of make up what an introvert is, and then also we can talk about how you can still be successful as running your own bookkeeping business as an introvert. In fact, a lot of the pros of being an introvert are in our favor. We actually benefit from being an introvert in a bookkeeping business. Other lines of business, like maybe a car salesman or something like that, we maybe not do so well, but it might depend on the type of car too. Anyways, so we're typically deep thinkers. Because we are more quiet, we are more laid back, not laid back necessarily, but we sit back and we observe and we watch from a distance, and instead of talking, we're listening. So we're typically more better listeners, more deep thinkers, because instead of speaking, we're actually listening and thinking. So we are, from all the research that I've done, and I kind of agree with it, is that introverts are more deep thinkers and better listeners, more observant people, and more detail oriented. So in the accounting field of bookkeeping and tax, you definitely need to be more detail oriented. So if you're kind of a chatterbox and your brain's all over the place all the time, and it gets stimulus from that, you are less, so they say, is less detail oriented because of that, because your brain's not slowed down, and it's not used to being able to just focus on the task at hand over time. So we actually get a reward from our brain, because I can sit down for 3-4 hours straight, just head down working on something, and so I've read that extroverts can't do the same thing. So our brain must be getting a reward for doing that, where an extrovert is getting a reward for being more bouncy, more one subject to another, that kind of thing. And I have a lot of friends that are extroverts, a lot of friends that are introverts. So and you probably do too. So you can relate to all of this, I'm sure. The thing that really helps us in this line of business is that we can be very productive in our solitude. So we can sit in a room or at a desk and just focus on something for a long period of time and work out the problem at hand. Where if we were extroverts, we wouldn't have this mental skill set to do that. So there's definitely pros and cons to being an introvert, and these are some of the ones that can actually really, really help you in your bookkeeping business. So the detail orientedness, the deep thinking, the being more observant, detail oriented. If I didn't just repeat myself. So being content within ourselves, we do have that ability to kind of slow things down, be happy with being just by ourselves and with this big problem in front of ourselves. So when you get a big bookkeeping cleanup project, say, it's hard to jump in and out. You really do need to sit down for a couple hours straight and work out the problem. And being an introvert, we're able to do that. So these are really good things that we can benefit from as being an introvert. So if you can relate to this, I would love to hear your comments and any questions that you have in the comment section. Because like I said, to me, this knowledge came later in life for me. I always just thought I was shy. I actually thought I was slightly abnormal because I knew so many. I was sort of mostly around extroverts, I would say. And I think the world in general is more geared towards extroverts because the people that are talking the loudest get the most attention. And I was couldn't force myself to do that. But I also thought at the same time that maybe there was something wrong with me that I couldn't do that. But the reality is we're all different. There's extroverts and introverts, and there's a wide range in between. And I'd actually say I'm an introvert with some extrovertness to me, because I do know some introverts that are very introvert. But we're all good, and it takes us all to make the world go round, and our piece of it is this bookkeeping business. We can do really well with it, with that skill set that comes with being an introvert. So if you think that you can't sell, there's my programs teach you how to do all that, as I've done it as an introvert. So I'm not trying to teach you how to be a salesperson and how to change who you are. You can work within your own skill set. If you are an extrovert, you've got a lot of pros that you can use with that, but then you might have a lack of attention span, lack of ability to be detail oriented, and lack of the ability to really sit down for many hours at a time working on a project. And if you are an introvert, then you're going to do different things like I've done to get clients, but you'll really thrive at the ability to knock out a job that's in front of you. So introverts and extroverts can really succeed at bookkeeping business. And I think if you're an introvert, you might have a leg up. So I've done it. That's why I've always said, if I've done it, then you can do it, because I always saw these things as major challenges that I've had. But I've obviously, because I have been successful, had many things in my corner as well. So, and looking at them and really looking into what introvert and extrovert is really helped me to understand myself and how and why and how I've made it to success, and how other people can too if you're not somebody that is into the whole networking thing and being a salesperson. So anyways, I think anybody can do this, whether you're an in or an X. You can do it. Shoot me a question if you have any. Steve@BookkeepingLife.com. Check out my programs below and shoot me comments in the comments section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. I think it's a great topic. All right, I wish you a great day and success. Take care.